Oh, my wife is here. Not here. Not like in the live stream, but outside the live stream while still in the same room. So that means that most likely from past experiences with her, she will be diverting the course of the live stream through commentary and looks and little things. So beware that it is Sunday, July 6th. It may have even written July 5th, actually, on this introduction, but I'll on the date thing, but I'll change that. It was a very busy day for the most part. It's actually interesting. We had more sales than last Sunday, but we made about 60% of last Sunday. A lot more small sales, a lot less people buying big stock ups. But I also last week had 2 holdless customers pick up very large holds. So that's a cyclical thing. So it wasn't a terrible day, but it was definitely a long day. It was sort of slow and quiet towards the end, which was nice. A lot of browsers. So that was good. This Sunday is our final Sunday of Superman Sunday. Discussion of the Man of Steel and the Man of Tomorrow, the Big Blue Boy Scout, all those wonderful terms. We did a couple. I did a couple. I think I actually did one with my daughter, and she is not feeling up for talking about this tonight. She just finished a new sign for the shop.
Working on it a lot today.
Yeah, she worked on it for like 4 hours. It's very cute.
Very pretty Loki.
Which one?
Hmm?
Which one? Both of them are very pretty.
I only saw Loki.
Oh, well, they're both Loki.
They're both Loki?
Yeah, it's Loki and Loki.
Loki and Loki.
It's for variants.
Got it.
Anyway, sorry, spoilers, new sign coming. But yeah, we were going to talk about Superman. I had asked her before we did it, I said, look, there's 2 subject matters that I think are very important for a discussion of who Superman is. Which one is Krypton. How important is Krypton? How much does Superman have to import from Krypton or care about Krypton, care about his heritage or be looking for his heritage? How important is that to part of like the fundamental DNA of Superman, the Kryptonian mythos, the idea that there's this planet? Whether he knows a lot about it or whether he wishes he knew a lot about it or whether he's got things to decipher or he's confused about it like in that new cartoon, how important is that to make it really Superman? And almost like a converse to that, the other side is how much is Jonathan Kent required? How much must he be raised? You know, we talked about this slightly. Man of Steel, Jonathan Kent is a big departure from your average Jonathan Kent because he's all like, don't ever use your powers, don't show it to anybody. Did you put your name in a goblet of fire? You know, he's like it's very outside of the book. It's not how they've normally done him, and it made for a very different take on Superman. And that is something that I was thinking about while I was reading Birthright, because Birthright's Jonathan Kent, they make a very big point, and we talked about this last week. They make a very big point. Sorry about that. I just was hitting my wife. No, I was just trying to hit the fly that she was trying to get, and she's very unhappy with me because she was stalking it like Hobbs, like really cinematically, and I just came in like a big doofus.
And it flew away.
And it flew away because I'm the doofus. Anyway,
No.
Superman. Too slow. Right. In Birthright, they make a big deal that Jonathan Kent is very concerned about being a bad father because his father was apparently a bad father who didn't listen to him or care about him. And it's a way of, it's a shorthand way of saying he raised this kid real good. But that's really it. That's generally just what we do with John Kent. He raised this kid real good. And how important is that? Do we have to have that? There's a lot of people who didn't like Man of Steel because Pa Kent would never tell him to hide his powers, to not help people. Like, that's crazy. That's not Superman. And other people were like, look, it's from Krypton. He's got powers. He can fly. He's got the S. Like, that's Superman. And that's always one of the things that I think is so interesting as we get, closer to this new movie, which, as we've said, this is my major premise. This isn't a new movie. It's the next movie. People loved the Superman and Lois Superman, the Supergirls spin-off Superman with Teen Wolf Superman. People loved him.
Supergirl spin-off Superman.
Yeah. Yeah, I know what I'm saying. I hear it. People love that. It was literally, there was no reason to cancel except that they were making this movie and they didn't want to have conflict. And I'm sure that's filled with moments where he's talking to his sons. It's all about him raising his sons, going, "Oh, and my dad. Oh, when I first discovered my power." And I'm sure it's filled with stuff about Pa Kent. I'm sure it's filled with stuff about Krypton. That's Superman also. And everyone's like, "Well, how are they going to do this? How are they going to do that?" And I've also come to the realization that a lot of people, they don't really care how they're going to do this or that. They're just excited. And I said this today many times, and I didn't mean it as an insult, I meant it positively. People just want to like things. They don't want to think about, oh, is it going to have this? Oh, is it going to have that? They just want to go in and enjoy themselves. I wish I could. There are things, when something is new, I'm like, oh, good. This is a new thing. I can just get into it. But if something is based on previous material that I'm already familiar with, this is what I'm going to do. Well, how much Krypton is there going to be? How much is this? Well, when they did their last movie. Because that's just me. I wish all of you and everyone going to see this movie the greatest joy.
Wait, there's a new Superman movie going
Don't try this again. We have you on record already with this. Nice try.
Well, it was true that time.
It was true that time, supposedly. Well, I'll put it like this, though, Sarah. I'll say, I was talking to our daughter, who's, who we did the live stream with, who's very excited for this movie. And I said, "What Superman have you seen?" She goes, "I don't know, whatever ones we watched." I'm like, "So like the one Christopher Reeves movie we all watched?" She's like, "Yeah, we watched the Superman movie." I'm like, "You remember it?" She goes, "Not really."
We watched the...
First two?
We watched the
Brandon
Ruth.
We also watched Brandon Ruth with them, with all the kids?
I believe we did.
Okay, so those the two Christopher Reeves, one of them with Christopher Reeves and one of them with Brandon Ruth. Christopher Reeves. But she never saw Man of Steel. And she's never felt an inclination to.
She never
No, she's never watched an episode of Lois and Clark.
I don't blame her. Anyway.
She's never watched an episode of Smallville. She doesn't have Superman to her is a.
Wait, but did she read the Lois Lane books?
Yes, she did read the Lois Lane books.
That's a great
Clark Kent. That's a great Clark Kent.
Oh,
Gwen
so
DeBond.
good.
Gwen DeBond wrote a great Clark Kent. See, that's the problem. Once you start talking about.
What a good, but I want to read that again.
Those are great books, by the way. Lois Lane. What's the first one called?
Would rather read a book than see a new Superman movie. Go right ahead.
Yes, if you'd rather read a book than see the or both. Gwen DeBond's Lois Lane trilogy, Double Trouble, and I forgot what the triple is. I forgot the first one as well. Lois Lane Girl Reporter, Lois Lane.
I don't remember.
Gwen DeBond is the writer. They're quite excellent. They are probably, I would say, up there with Kat Deely's animated Lois Lane and what's her face? What's her face? Margot Kidder in Christopher Reeves is just spot on. Great versions of Lois Lane. Exactly what even like the Fleischer Lois Lane was like that too, right? The Fleischer Lois Lane is always like, "Don't go in there. No one should go in there." And she's like, "I'm gonna go in there." And she goes in with her little cloche hat, and
realize that monster in Monsters University is based on. I'm gonna touch it.
Yeah, that's Lois Lane. But right, if you watch those Fleischer cartoons, Lois Lane is getting in trouble and Superman has to save her because Lois Lane don't listen. She's like, "Someone's doing something weird at the electric plant. I'm going to go look at it." It's like, "No, no one's allowed to go into the electric plant. It's very dangerous there." She goes, "I'm going to go into the electric plant." And she goes in, and then the electricity's everywhere, and Superman has to protect her. And then it turns out there's a bad guy messing around with the electricity. That's what a Superman Fleischer cartoon is like. And how do they know? Because Lois Lane went and messed around with the electricity. That's classic Lois Lane. She a baddie. Like, no, she's a meddler. She meddles. That's what she does.
Nosy.
Yeah, and but that's easy. When someone says they have Lois Lane, and if Lois Lane's not like that, then it's not Lois Lane. But when you get to the core of who Superman is, there's so many aspects and there's so many things that make up the Superman DNA that you can say, well, if we pull this out, look, going back to Man of Steel, which again, my 18-year-old has never seen, but going back to Man of Steel, there's like a second of Krypton in one of the trailers, and everyone's like, "Oh, they're going to show us Krypton," and they do. There's like a 2-minute scene at the beginning where they show you Krypton right before it explodes, and it's literally just for visual spectacle. It doesn't give you. There's like flying dogs with weird chitinous wings. Everything's like crystal. It's super.
Chitinous or chitinous?
Is it chitinous?
I don't know.
Is it chitinous or chitinous? Chat, let us know. And they're like, I don't even know what word either of those are. It's like, well, read more books.
Chiron or Chiron?
Infinite are the arguments of
Chitin or a Chiton? Which is it?
I don't know.
All the same.
I don't know. I don't know the answer. I'm bad at languages.
I think you can choose. I think it's
That's the point. Cool. Cool. Then I pick all of them. The chitinous, kitinous wings. Anyway, the whole scene was there for them to have the visual spectacle of it, and then Krypton explodes, and that's it. And it's people were like, why did they show us Krypton if they're not going to show us anything about Krypton? And other people were like, why did we need to see the Krypton exploded? Are you freaking kidding me? Krypton exploding? Really? Guess what, guys? Superman. Who knew Krypton exploded? Right? There's a lot of praise for Batman things that don't include his parents getting shot. Same situation. So I think it's interesting. I think that
chitinous. That's what AI is telling me.
Oh well, I don't listen to AI, so chitinous it is. America.
Chitinous. Chitinous.
You having fun there? Svartamar let it happen on Pesach.
What?
Chitinous.
Chitinous?
Kidneys.
Oh, I can't. Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, thank you. The zero watchers are enjoying it. Anyway, yeah, I don't know. I think that it's very interesting to me that both big superhero movies coming out this year are actively claiming, at least in their previews, to be years into the superhero's career. Fantastic Four, obviously, it bothers me actually on a small level. Fantastic Four, when it originally came out, tried to claim to be or pretend to be chronological. Like they would be, oh yeah, it's been a year since we formed the Fantastic Four, or they would try, and that's why Sue is pregnant in like issue 70 or whatever. Like they're trying to move through time, so they're making it 4 years after they formed. Galactus shows up, and that's the movie. It's Galactus showing up. They are the Fantastic Four. They're famous. Everyone knows them, and Galactus shows up. But they're trying to skip the origin. Now, again, I don't know what kind of advertising... The origin for the Fantastic Four.
Said orgy.
That they kept. Interestingly enough, they're putting out a comic. Did you hear? Did I tell you about this? They're putting out a comic book. Matt Fraction is writing. The great Mark Buckingham is drawing. And it is literally a retelling of Fantastic Four #1 in the movie universe. It is the event where the Mole Man attacks, right? He goes...
I'm the Underminer?
Yeah,
really?
yeah.
I'm always beneath you, but nothing is beneath me.
Exactly. It's exactly that scene.
I love that scene.
Yeah. My Rick. That Underminer shows up.
Really sick.
Anyway, they're redoing it, and the comic is coming out this week. And it's a comic that is something they're going to have in the movie. In the movie, right? There's a preview. I see it on Instagram all the time. It starts right. 4 years ago, this amazing group of people, as they've been in Fantastic Four for 4 years. The Coming of Galactus is the beginning of the 5th year of the Fantastic Four comic. Like they're very much going for that. Superman, it's obvious from the bits that we've seen that he is Superman. He's been Superman for a while. Everyone knows about Superman. Superman. And it's very clear that they are reacting to the audience saying, we don't want origin stories. We don't want to meet new characters. But they didn't listen for like 6 years. People have been saying that for years now. People have been saying that since the second wave of Marvel stuff. I remember with Black Widow, when that movie was announced way back before COVID, they were giving her, someone's like, if they go and do an origin story with her, no, I can't. Because that's what everyone assumed, that you're going to make a movie like that. So they're finally moving away from that, but I can almost guarantee you, like I said, from the Fantastic Four comic and from a lot of direction I see of the push of the Superman movie, there's going to be loads of flashbacks in these movies. There's going to be loads of things to remind you of their origin. And guess what? That's what comic books do. They do that all the time. You meet a bad guy, and it's like, oh, didn't I hear you enough last time? See, annual, blah, blah, blah. And then they talk, and they go, I thought you had given up and decided you were going to go do X, Y, and Z. And I see this and this and this. That's what they're trying to include into these movies. They're trying to give a sense of continuity, throwing you right into it. And the point is can I just watch a movie? You know, I did a whole review of it last week, K-pop Demon Hunters. And there's this opening bit where it's like, yeah, the music, it saves people, blah, blah, blah. And there have been people all throughout time doing blah, blah, blah. And that's it. Now, each one of those groups is a basis for a whole other movie, or at least an hour-long special, a la Wicked and Divine and Kieran Gillen's Pantheon. He did 6 specials of Pantheons at different times. Like, you can do this with K-pop, but that wasn't the goal of it. It was to set up what we needed to see the movie. And I fear these movies don't have that. And way off topic, but anyway, I think, let's go on to my opinions about Krypton and Jonathan Kent. I think Krypton must exist in the Superman mythos, even if it exists in a negative state. Even if he just doesn't know where he's from and doesn't know anything about it. All he knows is the blanket he was found with. I think Krypton can be like the Christopher Reeve's version of the 50s Superman, where he knows everything about Krypton. His parents left him video recordings seemingly in English, teaching him all about Krypton. That's fine too. But there must be some level of Krypton. If not, it's the Samaritan. We talked about how Samaritan's comic is a perfect Superman comic. But he's not from Krypton. He's from a future that by saving the past, he erased. So he's from a lost world that he can no longer go back to. But, that's not Superman. It's almost Superman. Superman-like. It's very similar to Superman, but it is not Superman. And that's where we're going to wrap up. Next Sunday, you'll get my review of the movie, probably. Didn't want to do a live stream, but she still very much wants to go see that movie. So we'll probably be seeing it Thursday or Saturday night. One of those. Definitely getting to it. And I will let you know what I think. Until tomorrow, when I don't know what we're going to do with the live stream, actually. We'll see. Remember, damn it, babies, you got to be kind. That was a very unattended live stream.